Right here. What did you see on the foul call against Liam? It was 92-92 all when you got the technical, and then they made.
Yeah, that was a joke. I mean, I just watched it. And listen, the game started for us. For me, with how physical Memphis is, and how much. So they're physical at the defensive end, and then at the offensive end, they initiate a lot of contact, and then we're getting whistles early in the game. And it got off to a bad start when, my medical trainer, who must have said something under his breath in the huddle, gets teed up in the huddle in the first couple minutes or whatever that was in the game. A trainer who's just the nicest guy, very quiet guy, might have muttered something under his breath. In a normal situation, an official comes over to you and says, "Hey, coach, tell that guy to shut up." Because I know they don't want to hear it from me. But that's commonly how that should have been handled. But I had a lot of issues with what went on out there in the game. That over the back call at that point of the game, there was no attempt to block out. There was a player on Memphis that made a half-ass effort to rebound that basketball, and Liam McNeely high-pointed that rebound. For that call to be made at that point of the game was a complete joke, all right? And then for me, I don't know what happened. I might have lost my balance by the absurdity of the call, or maybe I tripped. But if I made that call at that point, I would have ignored the fact that I was on my back. If I made that call, I would have ignored that. I would have ignored that. That was a major, obviously a major. How you could call that while that game was going on, the way that game was going on, is just beyond me. But I know, I've never seen the one ref before. I didn't even know he was a college ref. And then, I'm familiar with the other two, so I'm not surprised.
With Sampson's foul, this fifth foul, the technical there, was that one that just he has to be smarter in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be smarter. But at that point, we were kind of dead in the water. I mean, we were down 12 or 13, and we looked lifeless. So, I started with, riling the team up and creating some energy and some intensity and some fire, and the team followed suit. And Sampson was getting shoved. I mean, his jersey was ripped. He didn't get a foul called for him the entire game. He ended the game, with his jersey ripped down the center. But they get him on every call. So, he's frustrated. That was crazy, man. Crazy.
Dan, you guys have 2 games in the next 2 days. How do you put this past you and move forward?
Yeah, I think coming into it, I think when we realized we had such a low seed, and obviously we that's a heck of a first round opponent. I think we're going to obviously have to bounce back and mentally regroup. We're not used to losing, but I think we are a program with a lot of character, and we'll respond. This hurts. This sucks. We came here to win the championship. But Memphis is an excellent team, and we've got to respond the way UConn responds, and no matter what time the game is.